When I was younger, I listened to music in English every day, all the time. I wasn't focusing on learning English. That wasn't my main focus or my goal at all. I was just having a blast. I was just having fun with the songs and learning the lyrics and singing along and everything. I was just happy to listening to the music, to the songs. So I wasn't focused on the grammar, on anything else but the music. And this idea might sound a lot like immersion, and in a way it is, but it's not just about surround yourself with English without any purpose or just being thrown into a conversation where you are forced to speak. It's not about that. You need to engage with the language. You need to participate actively, focusing on something else rather than the English itself. You have to engage with it. And I think about it, and that's exactly how I learn English. And that's exactly how I learned my first language, Spanish, too. And you too. So think about when you are acquiring your first language, you are not sitting in a classroom and thinking about the formula or the definition of something that you want to say. For example, let's put an example like present perfect. If you want to speak, you're not thinking about the present perfect. It describes an action that happened in the past and it is relevant in the present, and the formula is subject plus has or have, and now the verb is in present perfect. You don't think about that. It doesn't work like that. And sure, this has the explanation and this has the pattern, but you don't acquire it like that. You don't think about that to speak. Think about your first language. You don't do that. And in a school, we actually are taught like that. We are focusing on the language rather than using it. Think about kids. When a kid wants food, for example, they're not thinking about, how do I phrase this for my mom to understand that I want that? How do I communicate this? They're not thinking of that. They are just worried about getting fed. They want food. They're going to babble. They're going to maybe emulate a word that they heard, or maybe the sound. It's not going to be accurate and it's not going to be perfect, but they're going to communicate it. And eventually the mom is going to understand and they are going to get fed. So that's exactly what we mean by processing the language in a natural way. It is a tool. The language in the English in this case, you're using it to get something, to participate, to express something, to do something else with it, not just focusing on the language itself. Let's see what Sal says. If processing is key, then how do we specifically do it? Can you do an example of it? How do you process?
We can take another example, let's say, of conversation. Between you and I, on the conversation level that we are now, we're passing a lot of information back and forth. We're processing. That's what we're doing. I may say a word you don't understand. You may identify it, those sorts of things. But if I were to play a game with you that was very slow, and I would say, okay, fill in the word. I am going to the blank tomorrow.
Park.
Okay, that works. Park. So what is the park?
Somewhere where you can hang out, just play, or take your...
Okay, it's an area where you can go to play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fine. We didn't pass a lot of information there, as opposed to having a brisk conversation. We pass a lot more information. We process the language a lot more.
Oh, okay.
Right? So speed is an issue when you're talking about processing. Okay? Singing a song and learning the words is probably more efficient, well, I know it's more efficient, than doing a fill-in-the-blank exercise. It just is. You're just able to process more information with that time. Mm-hmm. And having a communication or a spoken interaction is going to pass a lot more information. You're doing a lot of processing because you're listening, you're understanding, you're processing the idea, you're giving an answer, than a static fill-in-the-blank where you're not listening, you're not comprehending what you're hearing, you're just looking and figuring out what should go in this blank. And I'm not saying it has no value, but it's low value. It's not how you want to spend your time if you want to go forward. How you want to go faster is process more. If you do one thing at one time, it's a whole lot less than if you're doing many things at one time, right? Multitasking, we could admit, is usually good, right? If you can multitask, that's great. We're getting more done. That's processing. So by doing one thing at a time, you're not doing something. You're just not as efficient at doing something as if you could do several things at one time. That's what we're talking about. So if you can process what you're hearing, and you can make a verbal response, and you can process and have to come up with an answer, not just repeat back what you heard, process what you heard, and give a solution or an answer for it, that's a lot of processing going on at one time, as opposed to just repeating something you heard. Right? So questions and answers are a lot of processing, especially when you're learning a language. Very simple questions and answers are great processing, as opposed to just listening to somebody talk. There's no interaction there. It's still processing. It's better than filling in the blank on a sheet of paper, but there's different levels of processing and how fast, you can acquire the language. The more you process, which means volume, so you could do it faster or you could do it longer. So obviously if you do it faster, you don't have to do it as long. So you can get fluent sooner if you can process more. And your brain is really capable of processing a lot in a short period of time. If you want an example, I'll give you one.
Yeah.
You ever see two people argue?
Yeah.
Especially when they're excited?
Yeah.
So one person is giving you their opinion about something, and before they even get the words out of their mouth, you've already listened to them, looked ahead to what you're pretty much sure they're going to say, you process that, and you've already thought of an answer, and you're already giving your answer back before they even finish with their sentence. A good argument is like that. And we've all seen them, and that's a lot of processing going on at once. The brain could do it, right? That's not our normal day talking to people, but it could do it. And so in practice, we should practice harder than what we're going to experience in real life. Same with athletes. They practice really hard and doing intense things in practice. They don't have to really do that much in the game. So the game seems easy because they practice so hard. Same thing. If we do that, we'll get there faster.
Okay. I really think that questions and answers are like a very easy way and an accessible way of practicing processing. But what happens if I don't have anybody who is asking me those questions? Is there another choice, or maybe, I use a lot ChatGPT, and I know this generation or a lot of people knows about that, but that's like written and it's virtual. So what would be the downside of that, or how can I replace a person, or what would be the alternative?
Okay. So questions and answers. First of all, let me say this, that some people don't realize that conversation typically is questions and answers. Watching a documentary is not conversation. It's one entity giving you information, the other one absorbing it. Questions and answers are really almost all of conversation, right? How was your day? It was fine. How was yours? Yeah, what are you going to do tomorrow, right? So that is the essence of what we want to practice, because that's what we're going to be doing. So you could do it in a few different ways. I mean, obviously, you could do it in written form, but it's minimum processing because you're not listening and you're not speaking. So you're leaving those things out. You are processing the question, but you really need to practice in real life. It's going to be in verbal form, and you're going to have to answer in spoken form, so you should practice those things. So it could be done through certain exercises. We've developed exercises for that. It could be done with a tutor or a coach, obviously, or a friend who is fluent in the language you're trying to learn. Typically, that's how you want to practice, with a fluent person speaking a native voice, not with someone who's also learning. But short of all those things, if you don't have them, now AI is taking care of this, because now there are AI options that speaks to you now, and in very good native voice. We've developed one. We have one that's very easy to use and very inexpensive. ChatGPT you can use as well. The free version, I believe, speaks now. So you can talk to the free version. So you can do that. Have to sort of prompt it to speak to you that way. But I mean, you could do that. And again, if you can do that and it can do what you ask, then that would be great. The best alternative is to have, let's say, a tutor who understands that you need to practice at a certain level. So when you're really basic, you should really only be doing basic questions and answers, and ChatGPT may do that or tends to stray away from that. That's why we designed our own product to kind of stay with that. But it's really hard for AI right now to just stick with that. A tutor could do it. You should only process the questions in a level which you can. and do them as quickly as you can, because that's what's giving you the most data points and the most processing, so you can learn faster. I could talk about speaking slowly to a student. I know some people do it. Some instructors believe that that's the right way. I believe in certain instances, maybe you should do that, but for the most part, you should speak in normal speed, because the student should get accustomed to that speed, but at a lower level of vocabulary, let's say. Very simple questions. What is your name? Where are you from? What is your favorite color? What is your pet? What is your pet's name? They're not complex questions, but they're fast, right? You should do that at normal speed as opposed to asking more complex questions more slowly. So what are your plans for next summer, and who are you going to do that with? That's a compound question. That's a lot of information to process, and you're doing it slowly. It's not in line with how your conversations are going to be. You could build up to that, but you should be able to do it at real speed.
Okay.
So again, everything we do is in real speed, because that's how you're going to get it. In society, you're going to get regular speed. How to deal with it in Colombia? Spanish is fast. A lot of syllables packed in. To this, English has a lot less syllables for each idea you want to express. Spanish has got a lot of them.
Yeah.
But you got to deal with it, because that's how you're going to get them. It doesn't mean you understand everything, but you can at least understand what you don't understand and clarify it and learn it. But if you don't understand anything because I'm just processing too fast, I'm like lost. That's not good. So yes, some people can handle a lot more speed than others. You see that even in children. Some children speak faster, they learn faster. It's okay. They all get to the same place, right? It's okay. But you have to stay within that zone. So yeah, you should go as quickly as you can. It should not be comfortable.
So if you want to become fluent in English eventually, you're going to need to process the language. And I know it sounds simple, but it could change completely the way that you approach your process and the methods that you choose. So if this makes sense to you, then stick around, because we're building the foundation here, step by step. And in the next episode, we're going to show you something that we call the R.A.C system. R.A.C, recognize, accept, and copy. And it's something that your brain already does naturally by itself. And if this helped in any way, you can leave me your comment, and you can share this content to somebody who may need it. And we'll see you in the next one.